Welcome to the Synergistic CX Podcast here on the CX channel, where CX professionals converge. I'm your host, Erik Brooks, and with me today are my fellow members of the CX channel team, Emil Sankov and Chris Oliveira. Today, we're very fortunate to also have with us Oleksiy Tsysar, founder and CEO of 4Service Group. Oleksiy is an expert in customer service and customer experience, and he joins us today from Vienna, Austria. Oleksiy, welcome to the CX channel and our Synergistic CX podcast. Thank you for taking the time to share your experiences with our community. I know they're very excited to hear what you have to say today. Can you please tell our audience a bit about yourself and your work at 4Service?
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation first. So as Erik has said, I'm leading the 4Service Group, which is a CX intelligence and advisory company that has been founded in Ukraine about 25 years ago and is now operating internationally from our many offices in Europe. So what I'm doing in this life is helping companies understand their customers' experience and what to do with it and how to improve it. So we do all sorts of market research and customer experience research, mystery shopping and operational audits. What else we do? Consulting, help companies build systems to improve their customer experience, which drives their financial results. So that's why I guess I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Today, we'll be looking at our latest CX study using aspect-based sentiment analysis, or ABSA, to understand what customers are saying about their experiences. Over the past 2 years, we've analyzed online customer reviews across various industries, from retail and hospitality to luxury and financial services. And in each episode, we focus our podcast on a specific industry, first looking at the surface metrics of customer feedback, and we then dig deeper to uncover the exact moments that shape customer trust and loyalty. This month, we're turning our attention to the gas stations industry, and perhaps in your area of the world, this might be called a fuel station or a petrol station. But this is an industry that's very much defined by speed, routine, and operational precision. For many customers, these locations are part of everyday life, and expectations are simple, but they're non-negotiable. The customers require efficiency, they require availability, and a smooth experience. Our study for this podcast is based on more than 40,000 online customer reviews worldwide, revealing where gas station experiences are meeting expectations and also where friction still emerges. From the staff interaction and product availability to operational processes and service flow, customer feedback provides a clear picture of what consistently drives satisfaction and where small breakdowns can quickly erode trust. In this episode, we explore what customers are telling us about their experiences at gas stations and what these signals mean for leaders responsible for designing reliable, high-performing service environments. So let's look at our agenda for today. We will explore insights from our global analysis of online customer reviews in the gas station industry, examining what shapes everyday customer satisfaction and operational reliability. We'll discuss the foundations of our study. This is the global sample that we've analyzed, overall star ratings, and how companies respond to critical customer feedback. Next, we will examine the elements customers talk about most frequently and how these shape the perception of the experience within the marketing mix. We then map the gas station customer journey, identifying the moments where expectations are fulfilled or where friction begins to appear. In our moment of truth, we highlight the experiences that most strongly influence satisfaction, particularly when operational issues or service breakdowns appear. We will then use the marketing mix funnel matrix, also known as the MFM, to understand how the specific experience drivers influence customer perception across different stages of the journey. Next, we'll show how these insights can be translated into a practical starter voice of the customer survey. And after that, we will speak with our guest expert, Oleksiy Tsysar, to connect these findings with his vast real experience in this industry. Finally, we will close with key takeaways and practical reflections for CX leaders responsible for delivering consistent customer experiences. As always, you can explore the full industry study we're covering today by downloading this month's Synergistic CX magazine for free from our website, cx-channel.com. And you can also subscribe to us on YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever social media platform you use so you never miss a podcast. So today's objectives. We'll focus on several key objectives with our gas station study. We're going to look at how digital influence shapes perception, exploring how navigating apps and online reviews and ratings and customer comments affect where customers decide to stop and how that trust is formed even before they arrive on site at the gas station. We'll evaluate site and service execution, identifying the touch points that matter most to customers, from the pump functionality and location access to staff interaction and checkout efficiency. We'll also examine the marketing mix in practice, looking at how elements such as pricing transparency, retail offerings, site safety, payment options, and staff professionalism all help shape the overall experience. We'll map the customer journey to understand where friction appears and how continuity can be improved across repeat visits. And finally, we'll explore the growth levers that can turn routine refueling stops into preferred destinations within everyday travel and mobility journeys. At this point, I'll hand over to Emil to walk us through the sample behind our study and what the marketing mix reveals about gas station experiences.
Thank you, Erik, and Oleksiy. Welcome to our podcast. It's great to have you. Getting to know the micro industry of gas stations, we'll first dive into the online reviews and ratings. And to do that, we have prepared an industry sample, which is globally diversified and well balanced. Our sample's geographic structure is separated into three primary areas: Americas, Asia Pacific, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. And in this particular sample, the Americas represent the largest chunk of the location that we have surveyed, and this is approximately 44%. But generally speaking, we surveyed a little bit over 2,100 places. We collected a little bit over 41,000 reviews. And the analysis of these online reviews and ratings give us a confidence level of 99.5% with a margin of error of 2.5%. Now, getting into the star ratings, what we can see here is the distribution of the star ratings, which, as we know, is an online is a system that allows customers to evaluate products, services, or businesses on a scale typically from 1 to 5 stars, and this is done online with the different websites that allow for this. So what we can see here is that with regards to gas stations, the 5-star ratings represents roughly half of all received feedback, and what we can see with regards to the 5 stars is that there is a very high degree of uniformity, meaning that the three areas, the Americas, the APAC, and EMEA, are almost in a lockstep, and they hover around the average with very little, almost unnoticeable deviation. On the other extreme is the 1-star rating, which in this case, we can see that on average, about 20% of the feedback is represented by the 1-star rating. And here we do see higher deviation across the feedback, with the Americas taking the lead with the most negative feedback. So this is what we can see from 10,000 feet, a relatively uniform distribution on the positive side of the scale. On the negative side of the scale, we see diversification and divergence, with the Americas getting the most negative results in general.
Oleksiy, the data suggests a clear polarization in the customer satisfaction here. There's a lot of strong 5-star experiences on one side, but also a meaningful share of 1-star reviews. In your view, what separates the locations that consistently deliver excellent experiences from those that struggle?
Well, the answer has two parts. First is the operational consistency. So if you want the locations that manage into the 5 stars or end up with the 1 star, they have this picture with the operational consistency, either non-existent or excellent. So the customers experience the same process consistently, or they don't. And the second part is, of course, why such a polarization exists is the let's say the peculiarity of the method, because people tend to only make the effort to leave some feedback when they're extremely happy or unhappy. Yeah, we know that for decades from the sociology research that only those emotions are strong enough to make people take that review. Yeah, so this is why. And speaking of what happens in those 1-star stations on the whole, is, I believe, the lack of operational consistency again. So sometimes, even if the processes are not excellently designed in the company, they still be pulled off, let's say, rescued by leadership at on the spot. But it cannot be guaranteed in every case. Yeah, so the companies need to have well-designed, well-executed, thought-out processes to get those 5 stars. Yeah, well, if they don't, they end up in the 1-star zone.
That's a interesting point, and it kind of shows the value of using different CX measurement methodologies aside from just online customer reviews and ratings to help to capture what's really happening at a location.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, Mil, back to you.
Thank you, Erik. So let's dive deeper and let's get the overall picture of the engagement of the clients. Here we'll dive into the critical review response time, KPI or CRRT. It is a KPI which measures how quickly a business responds to critical reviews, those with a rating of 1 or 2 stars. As such, this KPI is a critical measurement for the dedication of addressing customer complaints and issues promptly. So what we see on these charts is the distribution, and green is responses. Green represents responses to critical reviews within 24 hours. Yellow and orange within 74 or more than 74 hours, respectively, and the red represents critical reviews that have never been responded. So the big picture is globally over half of the critical reviews remain unanswered, indicated limited action at the moment of highest dissatisfaction. When we look into the 3 regions separately, we do see a significant divergence. And what we can see here clearly is that the APAC is trailing by a great margin. And in the APAC, more than 80% of the critical reviews do not get any response, compared to the Americas, where 46% of the negative reviews do not get response. So almost half of the negative reviews do not get response in the Americas compared to the APAC. That is a significant divergence. We will then dive deeper and review this KPI in the context of reviews with comments versus reviews with ratings only. And it is normal to expect that the reviews with comments get better responses and better response rate simply because the comments give the opportunity to respond. So going back to the chart that we saw earlier, and Focusing only on the reviews with comments, what we can see is that the picture does not change significantly. A is still trailing by a great margin. But here we see that Europe, Middle East, and Asia is catching up quickly. And in the Americas, we still get more than 50% of the negative reviews actually getting a response. And while this may seem like a low response rate, compared to what we have studied and what we have seen in the other micro industries, this is actually quite good value for this KPI.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall conclusion here is that we see a significant divergence across the different regions.
It's very interesting that we see actually in Americas that over half of those online reviews with the critical ratings are responded to. That's pretty incredible. But yeah, there's still a pretty big gap. Oleksiy, our data here suggests that when the customers speak through their online reviews here, that's actually the moment when a lot of the companies go silent. Why do you think that this gap persists? Do customers actually expect a response, or is the industry underestimating the importance of acknowledging the feedback here?
Absolutely. The reason why they do not respond is the same. It's a lack of operational consistency, because it should be one standard procedure to go after a customer feedback, responding to it, which is also known as closing the loop with the customer. Yeah, customer says something, asks for something. I would also like to stress that the quality of response also matters, because we can see many companies just giving a very technical and short response that would leave the customer even more mad than they were before. And we are witnessing it all the time. So would be better to leave those feedbacks unanswered than make the customer even more furious. Yeah. So it's not only about the answer online; it's about the action taken. Yeah, and this is if we could measure that, we would probably see even lesser percentage of companies who do anything about it. Yeah, that's the reason. Is okay. So it's the lack of the procedure and the culture. Yeah, so the customer-oriented culture would definitely prescribe, and the team would know what to do. They need to act on this.
Mm. Thank you. Well, we'll now move into the marketing mix of the gas stations, and Emil will continue telling us about that.
Yes, thank you, Eric. So let me briefly explain what follows. So with the online reviews and ratings, as a next step, what we do is we take the comments and we perform what we call an aspect-based sentiment analysis, which in essence means that we're taking the important aspects, we measure the associated sentiment, we score the associated sentiment, and then we associate the aspects to the marketing mix and the customer journey, with the objective to measure how the customers perceive the elements and the feature of the marketing mix and the stages and the steps of the marketing journey. So this is a step further into what Oleksiy was referring as exploring what drives the operational consistency. And what we aim to do in the next couple of minutes is to understand the drivers of that. First, we're going to dive into the marketing mix elements. And in essence, what we're going to uncover here is what do customers talk about or care about. To do that, we utilize a 7-element marketing mix, which is an extension of the standard 4P: product, price, place, promotion. We're extending that with people, process, and physical evidence. And what we can see here is the big picture where people, product, and place take up the majority of the conversations, more than 75% of the conversations, with people alone taking 35% of the share of the conversations.
So this is somewhat interesting because we see people in any industry, we see the people element being a very, very popular element with respect to customer feedback. It's usually the largest, and we see here about 35% of the mentions involve that particular part of the marketing mix. But what's interesting here, and Oleksiy, this is a question for you. Despite the fact that the slide shows that people represent 35% of the marketing mix in the conversations customers are having, this is in an environment where most of the service is actually self-served by the customer. So from your perspective, what does this tell us about how customers evaluate experiences in highly automated environments such as gas stations?
It just confirms the maxim of humans that humans need humans. And it's quite reassuring to see those results because it says that the experience economy is still in a large part driven by human interaction. I believe that human interaction or people element is the one that builds trust the most in this marketing mix, and that will always be needed in some form, even if the automation goes further in this fuel retail industry or any other industry. There should always be the chance to connect to a human. Yeah. So this is for me something that will never go. So one fundamental element that I don't know, maybe it will diminish in its value, but it should always be there. So because humans will not become anything else than they are.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting observation because I think we can all picture, the fully automated gas station experience. We've all had that, right? Where you go up, you fuel up, and you pay, and you're done. If you just happened to have a staff member just simply say, "Have a nice day," and give you a smile,
Absolutely.
that's a completely different experience, even though very little's actually changed objectively with what your purchase was. Interesting observation. Fascinating.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
for the
I
insight
can
there.
I can comment further if you like a little bit. Just
Yeah, by all means, please. Our audience loves your insight.
yeah. So in the recent years, we have all seen how a large amount of companies try to substitute human interaction with AI interaction, and we have seen many such projects fail just because of underestimating the importance of the human factor in human life in general. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you that having a human, having someone saying "Have a good day" would completely change the mix, and would completely change that would be, by the way, the last step of a customer's journey if they wish them a good day before the customers leave the station, and they would maybe the one stage that programs the whole experience, the resulting conclusion, the resulting perception.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, humans will never leave our business, I believe.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that observation there. So, Emil, you want to take us through the rest of the elements and the features here?
And you will be up for a big surprise.
Mm.
So, what was surprising for me is what is self-evident on this slide. When we drill down from the elements to the features, which show which details of the customer experience do customers prioritize, we see that the overwhelming amount of conversations about people and in context of all marketing mix elements is about the staff attitude. So that is quite surprising to me to see because I have always perceived the gas station experience as a highly commoditized one.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we do expect to see automation, but what we see here is actually quite the opposite from all the online reviews and ratings. What we can see here is that nearly a third of the conversations revolve around the staff experience. And when I say a third, I really mean a little bit over 28%, as we can see on the table to the right. But still, it is compared to all the other features that are discussed, a feature with a significant weight in the overall mix. So just for comparison, the next four are product and service availability and product and service quality. This is in the product area with 7.37 and 6.5% respectively, and cleanliness and organization place with a little bit over 5%, and checkout process with a little bit over 5.5%. So again, significant deviation, and I don't recall a micro industry have seen anything like this. And I was absolutely not expecting the staff attitude to take that large of a proportion in the gas stations.
Yeah, me neither. That's remarkable.
So let's take it further and look at the marketing mix from the standpoint of the marketing mix experiences. And since it is a relatively busy slide, let's explain what we are looking at here. We are taking each element of the marketing mix, and we are getting deeper into the understanding the customer sentiment, thought, and feelings in the context of each marketing mix element. And this is derived from the sentiment from the online reviews and ratings. And what we can see here again is when we talk about people, close to 50% of the interactions have a critical connotation from a standpoint of sentiment. And that is significant. We see better performance in product and place, but when we get into process and price, we again witness that the critical sentiment is leading. And generally speaking, what we see here is that with regards to people, product, and place, which can take up more than 75% of all the conversations, a substantial amount of the conversation and the feedback, more than 40%, is in the critical area, which, to wrap up this introductory part of the podcast, leads us to the key takeaways. First and foremost, respond to critical feedback. What we see is that there is a significant opportunity there, specifically in APAC, where more than 80% of the feedback receives no response at all. And this is even with the feedback with comments. Globally, over half of the critical reviews remain unanswered, 56%. To be more specific. Then the next takeaways focus on core experience drivers. Customer feedback centers on people, product, and place, and they dominate the conversations, representing more than 75% of all mentions, and of those, people represents 35% of all conversations. And this makes that marketing mix element standing out as the most influential. So know your key drivers, people first and foremost, and then product and place. Third key takeaway is reduce critical customer experience frictions. Again, looking at people, product, and place, we see that these will concentrate a significant portion of all critical feedback, and people alone concentrating close to 50% of all negative feedback. And the opportunity here is clear: respond and identify what drives that feedback. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what are the avenues to identify the operational performance which drives the critical feedback next in the podcast. And lastly, consistency in the fundamentals. Otherwise, getting back to the basics. Staff attitude is a key driver, as we could see. Product and service availability and quality of the checkout process are the strongest experience drivers. Consistent delivery across these basics has the higher propensity to improve the overall customer experience as perceived by the customers. And this is what we see over and over again. Getting back to the basics, know your fundamentals, know where you need to focus your effort first and foremost to drive better customer experience. So these are the key takeaways from the online reviews and ratings. And Erik, back to you.
Thank you, Emil. This is the end of part 1 of our 3-part episode here on the Synergistic CX Podcast. In the next segment, we will explore more details of our gas station industry study and discuss the customer journey map and the key touch points that drive loyalty of customers. Remember that you can always find the full details of our studies for free on our website, cx-channel.com. And you can also follow the CX channel on LinkedIn, YouTube, or your favorite social media platform. Be sure to press that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you don't miss our next episode.